Carlos from Hickory, North Carolina hit us up. And he said, Penn State and Clemson and LSU. Those were all preseason top 10s last year, and they completely had the bottom fall out. We all remember, Carlos. We all remember, brother. He continues, who are the 3 teams this upcoming season that basically just have disaster thrust upon them? Well, if you're asking me for 3 top 10 teams that are going to finish unranked, Jesse, did all of those teams finish unranked? They all finished outside the top 25. That's tough to do. But I assume that the basis of the question is it's going to happen somewhere. So obviously we got to shave the list down a little bit. And for the sake of argument, like we could go over to on3.com. We could look at the preseason top 10 that they compiled. We could look at the top 10 list that I compiled. They're basically similar. Like everyone's top 10 is roughly similar right now. So if we're asking, and I want to very, very, very clearly preface, this is no prediction from me. The whole nature of this stuff is it's impossible to see that coming. Hey, I'm sitting here in February of 2026. I still don't regret my preseason rankings from 2025. I had every reason to have Clemson top 10. There was every reason to have Penn State top 10. It's just stuff happened. Things went off the rails. What if Penn State wins the Oregon game? It went to overtime. What if they win the Oregon game? I highly doubt the rest of their season goes the way it did. So anyway, like sometimes the parameters are in place and it just doesn't come to fruition. Sometimes the ingredients are in the kitchen and the meal still sucks. Is what it is. But when you're doing preseason rankings, all you have to go on is the ingredients. You don't know how the meal is going to turn out. It's just your best guess. So I have no regrets about last year. But this year, like Notre Dame's clearly going to be a top 10 team. If you're trying to find the high-risk teams, man, I guess I could throw Notre Dame at you because I guess the premise of Notre Dame being my preseason number 1. I mean, I had them number 1 the other day. So no one's higher on Notre Dame than me. It's impossible. But if you told me there are going to be top 10 teams that finish unranked, I guess my premise for having Notre Dame number 1 is I believe they finished last year as a top 10 caliber team. They didn't make the playoff, but I would have power rated them way up there. I think I had them 6th or something like that. So if my premise is they finished that lofty and that they're kind of picking up where they left off and they're maybe even a little bit better because they're more experienced at quarterback, that's all well and good as long as I'm right. What if I'm wrong about the caliber of team they were when they finished the season? Theoretically, my entire premise could be built on a lie. What if they were only pretty good to end the year? But we didn't know it because they didn't face the caliber of opponent that it would take to expose them. I guess theoretically that could happen, but look at Notre Dame's schedule. Even if that is the case, who's going to expose them? Now, I do know we went down this road with Penn State last year. Like we said, oh, Penn State's the safest bet to make the playoff. How would they ever lose more than 2 games? Yeah, but Notre Dame's schedule is easier than Penn State's was last year. There is no Oregon on this thing. The closest they get is they play Miami at home in November. Other than that, it would really, really, really have to go sideways for Notre Dame to lose. I guess they'd have to lose minimum of 3, if not 4 games to finish unranked. I don't know how in the world they lose 4 games. Hey guys, do me one favor. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you are, great. If you're not, it's that easy. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't sign you up for anything. It just helps us do the show this way forever. All right, back to the clip. But this is a tough game to play. Georgia would be another one that I would throw at you. That's a little easier with a team like Georgia, not because I think they're going to be a bad team. I'll have them preseason top 10 too. But if you're telling me the bottom's going to fall out for someone, it could theoretically be that Georgia last year goes 11-1, and that's how we remember them. They win the SEC championship, and they go to the playoffs, and that's how we remember that team. Therefore, where they left off last year, it's pretty conventional rankings wisdom to think, all right, well, I'll just start them kind of where they left off. So Georgia's going to be a preseason top 10. Yes, technically there's a world where Georgia goes like 8-4 this year, and it shocks everybody. But then, in retrospect, when you're trying to figure out what happened, you look back on 2025 and you say, I know they went 11-1, but maybe they weren't nearly as good as their record said they were. Maybe I should have paid closer attention to the fact that Auburn stoned them in the first half, and they had to go to overtime to beat Tennessee, and they beat Florida by 4 points, and Ole Miss led them by, one or two possessions, I think an 8-point game or something like that in the second half in Athens, and they had to come from behind to beat them. So yeah, they were 11-1. They could have been 8-4 last year. Maybe it shouldn't shock me that they just went 8-4 this year. And the difference with Georgia is Georgia's got to play Bama and at Auburn and Ole Miss and Florida and Oklahoma. They got to play tough competition more frequently. They go to Ole Miss late in the year. They go to South Carolina. Got Missouri in there. So yeah, I guess it could happen with Georgia. Again, not predicting it to happen. And I'd say the same thing about Texas. Texas will be everyone's preseason top 3, I would assume, minimum. I think I had them up there too. Texas could lose really early. They could lose week 1 or week 2 this year when they play Ohio State, because that's kind of what happened with some of these teams last year. Clemson lost in week 1. LSU ended up losing early. Penn State loses the Oregon game. So they have early losses and they can't rebound from them. Well, Texas could lose in week 2, and then they go to Tennessee in week 4, and then they got OU after the bye week in Dallas. But they've got Florida. They got Ole Miss. They go to Missouri and LSU back-to-back. They go to A&M. They got 3 or 4 on the road to end the year. And I know they upgraded at running back, and I know they upgraded at wide receiver, and it's a total title or bust mentality there. What if their offensive line can't protect any better than they did last year? What if I just say that? Could theoretically be a world where you got 3 losses. And remember Penn State last year, yes, it was title or bust. The trade-off there is when they lost early, mentally the entire thing came unraveled. I don't expect that to happen at Texas, but if it was going to happen to someone, Texas would be one of like 3 teams that it could happen to. I mean, most teams don't have title or bust expectations. So the potential pool of candidates for that's extremely small any given year. I think the best thing for everyone to do is just calm down and take a chance on love. To roll the dice on love. You know what? Make a note, Jesse. Probably don't have time for it this year, seeing as how we're 4 days from Valentine's, but that would be a good T-shirt idea next year. Listen to me. Every one of you has a heart. I know good and well you do. Therefore, every one of you should at least give a cursory glance to the Valentine's Day collection over at PateStateMaterial.com. These things are beautiful, especially the Huggin' and Chuggin' collection, which is not a collection. It's a hat, and we got some shirts. But Huggin' and Chuggin' is a great Valentine's motto for us here at Pate State. Also, the Pate State logo with the heart and the arrow through it, I think is very, very solid design work. So you can go there right now, Valentine's Day collection, PateStateMaterial.com. As I said the other day, and it takes a big man to endorse his own store, but I'm going to do it. As I said the other day, I would wear this stuff after Valentine's Day. That's how evergreen the spirit of these items, not merch, of these items are.